Hi there. I am ready to go. And what I'm going to try to do is see if it's even possible to produce a handwritten version of my Ashwadi constructed writing system. I have, as a font editor, I have this program called FontLab Studio 7, and it has a brush feature, which looks like it's going to let me produce a handwritten version, but I really have no idea if this is going to work. So I guess we'll find out. Um, this is the font. Where's preview? There, that's what it looks like when it's written. And this is obviously a very modern styled font, right? Nice clean lines and everything else. And I want to see if I could produce a handwritten version of it that might look a little bit better. I just realized I've worn a black shirt, which means I disappear entirely on screen here. Not so bad here, but not so good there. So, oh, hello. How you doing? Um, I discovered that, excuse me, that I'm used to streaming on Twitch, where the chat is built into my OBS software. But when you stream YouTube on OBS, you can't interact with the chat. Whereas here, I'm using a pop out, and it looks like I can. So just testing. Yep. See, I can interact with chat because I'm using the YouTube pop out. Who knew? Now I know, at least. I can see it a little bit better, and I can interact and type stuff in there better, which is good. Hello. Yeah, I know. I was thinking about that. Maybe I should change my shirt. Just a second. I'll go get a lighter colored shirt. I didn't even think about it. Okay, maybe a bit better. Hopefully. Let me take a look at features. Preview, rather. Yeah, that's a bit better. I'm still chopped off a little bit there because of the camera angles and because I don't want I don't want extraneous stuff getting in the way, basically. So, oh, hello, Mr. Something. How you doing? Now, if anybody from YouTube ever reviews this, one thing that would be really handy and is missing is something that says how many people are watching. Because I have no idea at any one point. The only way I can check is actually to go on my phone and see what shows up there. So this is Ashwadi. I'm sure you've seen it before. If you haven't, then there's lots of other videos. What I want to do is try producing a handwritten version of it using the brush feature. I don't know if that's going to work. I'm going to start off simple and figure that out. But I will show you that these are the glyphs of Ashwadi. And then there are all of these glyphs down below, which are all the possible consonant combinations and things like that. And I am not going to produce all of those by hand. There's 435 of them. So what I'm going to try doing is building the basic glyphs, and then I have to look through this to see if I can do it. Then I'm going to use the scripting feature to join them together, and we'll see if this works. Now, I could have done this with the Zenati writing system, and if I get it working here, I will do it with Zenati because Zenati is much simpler. So this should be a better test of it. This is a more complex writing system, and I think this is going to be a better test of whether or not I can do stuff. we'll find out. It might look like crap when I'm done. Who knows? The only preparations I've done is to save a version of the old Ashuadi off as its own file so that I'm not editing the other version, and to make a list of all the where are they here, classes, to go through the class list here and save all that off so that if I need it, I've got it as references. Because in order to have in order to build, say, ku.medi there, I would need to have K and a U form of Medi that I can join to it. And I figured it would be quicker for me to have all these as a reference. So I will show you the brush feature here, and we'll find out if it works. I'm already on brush because I was playing with this. This lets me basically trace over top like that, and that looks terrible, so I'm going to get rid of it. But trace over top and then delete the original underneath it. Kinda all right. I'm probably going to end up doing this a lot until I get used to it. It would be really handy if, no, that's no good right there. I could see it. It'd be really handy if I could do this with a stylus. And I did try loading up various methods of using an iPad to do it and things like that. And none of them were all that good, and none of them were all that consistent. Yeah, that might be all right. What program? Oh, hello. I'm going to call you Pro or Pro-oo. I am using FontLab Studio 7, okay, which has this brush feature. I have used FontForge, which is free and open source, and as far as I know, does not have this feature. I have used Type Light from Create Software, which is great. Type Light is free, but you can only really produce an alphabet with it. And there's Type from the same company. It costs, I think, $40 US, and it will do a lot of the feature stuff that I'm doing, but I don't think it has this brush feature here. And I've just decided that that one's no good too. What I'm trying to do is trace the shape and stay within the lines, more or less. And I picked this one because, to start with, because this one should be fairly hard to do. It's very hard to judge where the line should be with the brush and get it right in one stroke. There, that's a bit better. So now I go through and take this and select the shape in the background. And why is that not deleting it? Delete. Delete. Okay, and then we go glyph, flatten layer, and that should show the whole thing as the correct form there. When I go to preview, that's just some asemic text there. It doesn't mean anything. That's the original writing system. If I type in A, I now get the version that I just traced there. Whereas E, I, O, U are going to come out, well, that's actually putting them all together. So that's not good. A, E, I, O, U. Oh, I never noticed that. Oh. Yeah, see, O should actually be different. Well, actually, I guess it shouldn't. The design for my language originally only had 3 vowels. Does FontLab allow you to import SVG files? Yes, I think it does. I haven't used it, but it's. I'm sure it'll do it. Yeah. FontLab is like the Bugatti Veyron of font software. It's not cheap. I don't remember exactly how much it costs anymore because I got this through 2 upgrades. But it's it is expensive. I mean, I decided I was going to spend a lot of time doing fonts, and I had an earlier version of the software and thought, well, okay, I wonder if I can upgrade that. And I upgraded it to FontLab Studio 5. And then they came out with 6, and I thought, well, I can't really afford to upgrade it. I won't worry about it. 5 does everything I want it to do. And then I was on a Mac at that point. I'm on a PC now, but I was on a Mac then. And Apple decided that it was going to remove support for 32-bit programs. You would have to have a 64-bit version of all your software or your SOL. And I thought, well, I don't want to do that upgrade then. I want to stay one version back. But then they added so many other features, I decided, well, maybe I'll pay for the upgrade to FontLab Studio 7, which has it. You just checked, 523 euros. Yeah, that's very expensive. It's cheaper in North America. I don't know why. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, I upgraded from FontLab Studio 5 to FontLab Studio 7, and that was just the upgrade fee. And that was expensive as it is, but at least it was possible. I don't think the average person needs to get this program, as fantastic as it is, unless they've got the money. It is an awesome piece of kit. And I think it's probably number 1 on the list of font programs out there. I'm sure the manufacturers of other programs might disagree, but it's really slick. Now, I do a lot of stuff with features. Where's my feature screen there? This is the features currently programmed into Ashuadi to do all the fancy substitution stuff that I do. And you can see there's a lot of it. And then there's this code in here and stuff like that. And I wanted to be able to take advantage of the feature stuff. If this doesn't work, just drawing it this way, I might end up doing that. Yes. Problem is I don't have Photoshop. This may in fact have stuff like that. I haven't really looked. Like I said, this is pure experimentation. Let's see what we've got. Do we have anything for anything here that simplify or clean up? Simplify. Didn't do much. Control Z. Contour. Clean up. I don't think that did much either. Contour. Balance. I wonder what balance does. Nothing really noticeable either. If I go back to preview and type in A, first letter, and here I am. It does look rough through the interior circle there and through the outside. Although I'm trying to make a handwritten version. So if it's a little rough, that's actually okay. I want the end result to look like somebody took an old quill pen or something and wrote the text, and I'll need more letters to figure that out. But yeah, maybe I should try doing that as well. The problem is that I have a fair number of glyphs. I mean, these are the basic glyphs. I simplified this quite a bit. The ones up top here are numbers and punctuation and stuff, and they don't matter as much. But the glyphs that are down below here, these are all paired already, so they don't matter. Let's see. Actually, I might not have the Medi forms. I don't think I've got the Medi forms. That's interesting. Yes, Ryan. Yes, I saw that, and I really liked that. That was neat. And it's neat to see both of us starting with similar inspirations and ending up in different directions entirely. That's awesome. Yes, just a sec. Let me bring up a browser here. And look for type 3.2. Here, copy, and we'll paste it. That is createsoftware.net, which, as far as I know, is one developer down in New Zealand, I think. You can buy the Windows version here for $40 US. You can buy it off PayPal or Mac. And you can get a demo to try it for free, so that's cool. If you like it, $40. There is another program called Type Lite from the same guy. And Type Lite will let you create an alphabet and output it as a font, and it has limited features. Type 3.2 there is fully capable of doing all the features file stuff that I showed you earlier there. Has all the basic tools that you'd need, and I used it for a while there, and I really liked it. I've still got a license for it, and I was going to do a video at some point for my YouTube channel on what you can do with each of these versions. There is also FontForge, which is free and open source. So you don't have to pay anything for it. Its documentation is not great as of the last time I looked. It's a confusing piece of software to use, but it is fully capable. The problem with FontForge I had was just figuring out how to do some things. It wasn't all that clear. The person who wrote it, now I'm speaking, I'll backtrack here. This is as of a few years ago when I tried using it. The person who wrote it didn't like the way the Windows interface worked, so they came up with their own interface design. And that made it a little odd to use because things weren't where you expected them to be. And this may have all changed. I haven't used FontForge in ages. But that link there for Type, that program's pretty good. I liked it. I really liked it. And as far as I know, it's one guy down in, I think, New Zealand who's built the whole thing, and it's quite impressive. I moved on to this one because I really like this. I think that what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave these for the moment because they have forms that I'm going to want to imitate. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that, but we'll figure it out. Let's try another letter and I can compare the two. Okay, so back to brush. And again, getting this right is going to be a little, no, problematic. No. No. This is probably really painful to watch. No. If you hear a weird clicking sound outside, I have a crow, I think, that is just having fits over something. I have no idea what. Okay, that's rough too, but I'm going to keep that. I can always go back and get the originals if I need them. So that's C. I am on the right screen. If I go back here and type in C, oh, it's going to get, no, I got to put a space in there. C. Why is it done A in the original? A. It hasn't kept my A. Weird. I don't know what happened there. Let's try that again and see if it keeps the C. Maybe an end to this whole experiment if it doesn't keep them. Oh, it's kept the C. Good. Space C. Okay. This is not looking all that impressive. It's obviously going to need some cleanup when it's done. But I want it to look rough. And it's succeeding that in that regard. It's successfully looking rough. Okay. Yeah, FontForge definitely would take a few months to get used to. And I did build one of my fonts in FontForge, and that's where I discovered what you could do with features, and that's when I went looking for better versions of things. And yeah. You tried making a few handwritten fonts, and from experience, too rough is not really good, but too clean can look too artificial. Yeah, I can believe that easily. I'm not happy with some of this stuff here, but I don't know how much I want to clean it up too. I'll know better once I start piecing stuff together. Using a calligraphy brush in a program on my iPad and then tracing them in vector program gave me a nice compromise between handwritten and polished. Yeah, and I could end up doing that too. Like I said, this is pure experiment. I have no idea how this is going to turn out or how I'm going to accomplish it. I just thought, hey, it's got that tool. I talked about it before. In one of my videos, I just tested whether or not it would do it, and it did. And I thought, okay, if it does that, then I should do a video about it. And then I thought, if I'm really going to test this, why don't we test it live, not build anything in advance and just see what happens. So that's what's happening. I'm seeing what happens. Now we're going to try, actually, I'm going to try K here because it's really big and this should be quite difficult to get right. Part of the problem, when I think about it, is that I don't have a lot of desktop space here. That looks terrible. It was good at the start, but no, that's no good either. I don't know either. Okay. Pro, what I'm doing here is producing a font. So when it's done, I can install that font and use it in word processing. I have not played with it recently, but you can produce a type of output called WOFF, WOFF, as an extension, and use it on web pages, provided you can access the CSS for the web page and things like that. And then it will download that font to somebody who goes to view the web page, which is cool, but I haven't played with it yet. I did in the past, and I haven't done it recently. But all of this stuff is being drawn in this font software to produce a font as output, and I've done dozens of them there. So you can use it in Word. I actually use OpenOffice or LibreOffice, but you can do it in Word too. You do, in the case of Word, you have to tell it that you want it to support ligatures if you're doing the fancy stuff that I'm doing. For a basic alphabet, you wouldn't need to worry about it. In OpenOffice and LibreOffice, it's automatically supported. I don't think I had to turn anything on. Certainly, I don't have to turn it on all the time. With Word, if I recall correctly, I had to turn it on every time I went to create a new document. It would remember it if I came back to the document, but I had to deliberately turn it on. It wasn't turned on automatically. But the idea is to produce fonts basically so that when I go to produce a conlang, I can write a design document for the conlang, and I can include writing in the language system that I'm in the language that I'm building using the writing system I've created to include in that document. And realistically, maybe nobody's ever going to read that document. But for me, it helps me feel like I have an actual language I'm working on to have its own writing system. And well, there's two things happening there too. Building the writing system has become more important than building the language in some cases. So I can avoid the difficult job of building the conlang and focus on getting the writing system right. That's sort of an excuse. But also, it lets me feel like the language is more real. That's the main thing. Yeah, I thought about doing that with Inkscape. And I, like I said, this is an experiment to see how well this function works. I want to find out if it works well. If it doesn't, then I may have to look at another way of doing it. I don't expect to build the whole thing today. I want to sort of proof of concept it and see how it goes. More than anything else, it's proof of concept. Good except for the end. Yeah, yeah, too easy to do. Okay, let's go back to here. Select this. Select that. Get rid of it. Then come here to this. I think I have to. This automatically does layers, and it kind of irritates me at times. Flatten layer. Okay, let's see if we can select this stuff here and just pull it down about there. So I can do some of the straightening and stuff like this too. I can do that too. There is a way to join. Join, Control J, there. Okay, so now we go back to preview, and that was the letter K. Okay. And it's changed my C and things. See, it's not keeping these versions. What the is up with that? Back to here again. I'm going to try saving it and see if it does it then. Because this is now getting irritating, actually. Okay, back to here. Get rid of this. No, the whole thing, not just the curve. There, thank you. And this one. Go back to here. My K, oh, my K is there. Good. Okay, this is here. File. Save font. Back to C. I mean, I'll get lots of practice this way, but it's sure irritating. That was really bad. Okay, back to here. Select that. Delete it. Glyph. Flatten layer. Come back to here. Those three are all... Nope, it's wiped out my K. Okay, so maybe this feature is not ready for prime time. No, no good. Notice when I look at the preview window, because I haven't switched to the correct window, it has taken away my A. Ashuadi to me looks like if someone had made a script for Klingon, but actually wanted it to be good and not just foreign and weird. Well, you know I'll switch back to the right page here. The essence of Klingon, when Mark Okrand made it, was he said, it's supposed to be an alien language. Therefore, it should not obey the rules of human languages. How many of those can I violate and still make it possible to pronounce? And so the whole point of the design for Klingon was to violate the rules of human languages, which is why it's so alien seeming and difficult to pronounce and everything. And I mean, I've got the Klingon dictionary over there in my bookcase. It's a great example of a constructed language, in my opinion. Great example, and very very popular, influential, and everything. And no slight against him, not made by David Peterson. But the writing system for it, yeah, I didn't like the writing system. However, Ashuadi is basically... I don't think Ashuadi would work for Klingon. I haven't even thought about trying to come up with my own writing system for Klingon. I should do that at some point. Okay, so what is happening here is I am tracing these, and this is no good, so I'm actually going to do it again. It was real close at the start. I was happy with that. But it is not keeping my script drawn versions. And I'm really not sure why. And I've gone up at a weird angle again there. So this may fail as an experiment. Okay. Glyph. Flatten layer. Back to here. It has lost the A again. File. Save. Now I'm going to go try the A again. I may have to write to them and ask them what the hell is going on here. Because to me, don't like that. Close, but I don't like that. Okay, better. Back. Select this. No, the whole thing. There used to be a function where you could select line, but that seems to have disappeared. Okay, so C and K are done. Come back here, flatten the glyph. Sorry, glyph, flatten layer. Come back to here. I'm going to highlight the ones that I've worked on and just color them different. Flag, cyan. Flag, cyan. Didn't select the original one for some reason. File, save. Now I want to see if I go to do another one like say H here, if it's going to revert any of those somehow like it did before. Brush. Oh yeah. I have tried various iterations of making a Korean-like script and have not been happy with any of them. The problem with making a vertical, like you can make ones that stack, no problem. I have new Demotic here. If you haven't seen it, there's my Patreon. Oh, and I made up a screen for that, so I should show that too. You can go and see some of the other fonts that I produced there, provided that link actually came through okay, because it did weird highlighting there. Anyway, it's ThatFontGuy on patreon.com. While I think about it, since I did this, allow me to just say thank you to the people that support me on Patreon. I really appreciate it. There's one new person at the bottom there, David Ryan Rook. And I have Patreon because then I can slowly raise some money to buy stuff that I need to keep doing this and things like that, and maybe to justify some of the time that I'm doing it. So I have a few supporters that I really wanted to say thank you. If you go to my Patreon and if you sponsor me, then you can have access to all of the fonts that I've produced. Some of them are there for free for you to download and play with as well. And I don't do enough on Patreon. I'm going to be doing more there, but between Twitch streaming games and maintaining my YouTube channel for that, and live streaming this stuff here, and maintaining my and making videos for my YouTube channel for that, I have no time because I also have to work. So let's try another letter here and see if it loses my progress. I have a feeling that what you're saying about using Inkscape or something like it is going to be the way to go. I really do. That was terrible. That wasn't much better, but I'm going to keep it for now. I can always straighten this stuff out. We hope. Now, look at that. Look at that. It has reversed all of the stuff that I've done there. What the hell? Yeah, well, I'm going to have to ask them about that because I wonder. I wonder if it's a display problem. It is switching back to them there. If I go back to preview and type in H, it'll show this terrible handwritten version, but it's reverted the other ones. And that is just going to kill this idea if I can't figure out what the problem is. So if I load open font, where is old Ashuadi? Not in that folder, it ain't. That's the folder for it, but old Ashuadi. There's old Ashuadi. If I flick back to Ashuadi handwritten, it hasn't changed anything. If I close Ashuadi Handwritten, save changes. Yeah. No, don't save because I want to see if it reverts to the other. Actually, I did save all of those things. Don't save. File. Open. No, open. Ashuadi Handwritten. Open. It now has those, but not the H. So those are done, but not the H. It's going to be really irritating if I have to reload this thing every single time. It may be a problem with updating the display of the glyphs. Try this again. Not with that stroke. Or that one. See, really what I need, I hate to say this, I need like a Microsoft Surface or something like that so I could just take a pen and draw directly on screen. Or an iPad where I could bring the thing in as an SVG, trace it, and then export it as an SVG and import it. It's just, yeah. No. Okay. Back to here. Delete that. Glyph. It might be something else that I'm not understanding too. Contour, remove overlap. Go back to Ashuadi Handwritten, which has now got all 4 of those glyphs there. Highlight this one in cyan. Come back here. Select all. And remove overlap while I'm at it. And back to here. They're all good. Save. Come back in here and straighten this bit out here, if we can. Oh, you're still on features. Sorry, I'm busy straightening this one out. So I can do a little bit of that, like that. Then come back, not to that one. Close. Back to here. That has all 4 of those done there. File. Save. Maybe I was doing something wrong. Making any of these fonts is really time consuming. I've spent hundreds of hours getting Ashuadi to the point where I like it. And what happens is I go through a whole pass making small changes. Then I decide that's good and I save it and I go to the next pass and go through it. And then eventually I say, okay, this is a new version of the font and I save that. So that if I change my mind, I have earlier files I can go back to and I can reiterate forward. But it starts off with broad changes and gets more and more and more focused on tiny little changes and things like the spacing and things like that. And then I find an inconsistency somewhere, and that means I have to go through the whole font and see if I've made the same mistake somewhere else, glyph by glyph by glyph. And that takes forever. Thank you very much, man. Greatly appreciated. You can go and download some of the stuff there for free. Play with it if you want. Use it if you want. The only restriction I think I have on most of it is if you're going to do something commercial with it, then you need to talk to me about licensing it. But if you're making a conlang and you want to use one of my fonts, go for it. That's actually one of the reasons why they're there. I make writing systems more than I make conlangs, and I'm in love with writing systems. So I figure I can save some people some effort who would like a writing system just to make their language seem more original, but don't want to do the work or don't have the tools, or who just want an inspiration for it and want to take a look at what somebody else has done and see if they can, come up with an idea of their own that they like. Now that one got straightened more or less. I'm going to pull this stuff over here a little bit though, so it's more vertical. So I can correct some of my errors here. But yeah, it is time consuming, very time consuming. Back to here, save. If I can get the basic glyphs done, then I can look at building the final, I call them medi, but they're really mostly final forms of the glyphs. Well, actually, for such as people that haven't seen this before, what Ashuadi does, I got to now not use any of the glyphs that I just did there, is if you type a letter, consonant, it does that. If you type a vowel after it, I. Why is that not joined? Oh, because I haven't compiled. It will join them together. So if I type in, I don't know, Sian, it will type Sin, it will type in S, I, and N. And what's happening there is the font is looking at the glyphs that are on the list here. Then it's going to the features file over here, and it's using one of these substatements in here. I'll find the right one even. If you type in SI, this line right here, it will substitute it with S_I. So what that means is that script there, every time you hit a key while this font is loaded, that whole script is getting executed. When it comes across SI, like an S followed by an I, it will go down here and look for SI, which is right here, and display that instead. And if you type in N after that, like I did, just type in SIN, it will go and find N MIDI, this glyph here, and display it on the end. So you can see that's what's happened here. So this is the stuff that can be done with a combination of ligature features and classes. And I didn't really get into classes except at the start there, but I'll show you the page. These are the classes that I'm using. Oh, can't click on that. Got to click up here. And all they are basically is lists of glyphs. So this is all the glyphs that can appear as a consonant with a vowel following it. This is all the glyphs that appear as a vowel with a consonant following it. This is all the internal forms. How do I want to put that? It's specific instances of the consonant plus a vowel or vowel followed by a consonant, should be in there too. No, consonant plus a vowel, where I expect to have a consonant after it, like S-I-N. So if we go back to preview here, if that is S-I, and then I type in S-I-N, you'll see that the I shifts. And that's because it goes from SI to si.medi in my font glyph list, because the Medi version knows that it's going to have a consonant after it. That's all kind of involved, and you're probably not quite, I'm probably not explaining it properly, but that's why there's all these extra glyphs here. I'm getting spammed on my watch. Well, hey, thank you for joining my Patreon. Awesome. Really appreciate that. Thumbs up. And I will add you to the list of people for the next broadcast. So that whole process is made possible by ligatures. And hey, no problem. Thank you very much. You can watch this when I'm done, and it becomes a VOD on YouTube. But I've also got lots of videos there if you want to go take a look at stuff that I have there. I'm sorry it's late for you. It's only 1:31 in the afternoon for me. I'm on the west coast of Canada. I'm going to guess you're in Europe. Thank you very much for dropping by. Greatly appreciate it. Oh, when I'm staring off to the right there, it's because I've got 3 monitors in front of me, and the chat's on that one there. And I'm talking like this instead of talking like this. But thanks very much. And I hope to see you again. So the features thing is what's letting me do all the fancy crap here. And for that, you need to have good feature support, which FontForge will do, but it's difficult to figure out and access. Type 3.2 will do, and it's pretty straightforward to access. And FontForge does really, really well, and it's really easy to access and edit. And that's why I went to FontForge. So when it comes to this font here, hopefully none of those have reverted. What I have to do is define the isolated versions of these glyphs, which is what I'm doing now, and then define Medi versions of them and final versions of them, which will be a little different, and then add those down here, and then go up here to tools? No. Glyph. Generate glyphs. So I go to this screen here, and I can type in all the stuff that I want to have it create, and it will generate the glyphs down below using the pieces that I make up top here, which means I need to build a script for that and save it so that I can run it whenever I update all of this stuff, and then I go check the results. And that way I don't have to draw each glyph individually. That's the idea. So now we're going to see if I'm losing progress again by creating another glyph, which should be really simple, this one. Brush. And isn't, because that looks crappy. Try drawing down there like that. Okay, we'll keep that. Rid of this. Boom, gone. Glyph. Flatten layer. We're keeping all of that. I will take it and straighten it out slightly, bringing it back this way a little bit. And then go back to here and say that one's done. So we're going to flag that as cyan. And then we're going to file save. And I'm going to hope that it kept that too. So we're going to go back over here to features, preview rather, and wipe out the CSIN thing there and type in A space C space H, space K, and these are starting to look terrible to me, and I. See, when I look at this, some of it looks so shaky, but it might not look bad when it's not like, I mean, on screen there, it's in like 256 point. It might not look bad when it's small and handwritten in, say, 12 or 14 point or something like that. It's hard to say. Okay. So that's that done. I should get them all done in order, I guess. Don't know when I'm going to need all of these because I might not actually end up, it's hard to say, I might not end up needing this. I guess I will. No. How are we going to do that? We're going to have to start down here because that's what you would do in reality. I'm going to do that as 2 strokes, and maybe I can make it flatter to begin with. I have, yeah. I buy these cheap calligraphy felt pens, and I did calligraphy in high school in art class, so I'm actually not bad with a calligraphy pen. I have tried it, and it worked okay. Part of the design of the font was shaped by doing an awful lot of stuff on graph paper. I go through graph paper like I'm I don't know what a good metaphor is, but like I'm paid to do it. I could just go through tons of graph paper. Um, so I will sit and watch something on TV and draw on graph paper and come up with new shapes that I like and things like that. Glyph, flatten layer, put you on the right screen. Select all, Control F10 to remove overlap, and come back to here and file, save. Oh, I didn't highlight that. Flag magenta, no, cyan, file, save. So yes, I have tried it on paper. And I think it mostly works. I mean, I haven't done it heavily, and I should do that again. Oh, I was starting to say that I use these calligraphy felt pens, and I really like them. There's only one store in town that I can get them at, though, that I know of, and I keep forgetting to walk over there and pick up another one, so I don't have one at the moment. I do have some proper old calligraphy pens somewhere, and my wife probably does too, because she's very much into um, high quality pens and things. But I haven't played with them yet. In high school art, I did an awful lot of sort of imitative calligraphy. Like I wanted to learn how to do writing in Hebrew and Arabic, so I would take an example and practice trying to write it myself, without being able to read what it said, which is a little odd, I suppose. And I did regular calligraphy, uncial and Carolinian minuscule and all that sort of stuff. I don't actually know how I ended up not specializing in writing systems specifically when I was taking linguistics at university. I think I just missed something overall. And if I'd been more on the ball, I probably would have specialized in that. Glyph, wish there was a shortcut for flatten layer. One thing I will say about FontLab Studio 7 is most of the things that I want to do regularly, there's no shortcut for. There's a shortcut for the things that I don't need to do regularly. Go figure. Obviously, I'm not doing stuff the way they thought the program was going to be used. Flag, cyan, save. I am not a typical user of this program by any stretch of the imagination. I am probably the weirdest user they have, other than, other conlang people out there. Okay, this should be a challenge too, although I can do it as multiple strokes, so I just have to keep that in mind. And I'll probably get better at this process and have to go back and redo the originals. I expect that to happen. And I'm probably missing something essential in the way I'm doing this whole process. There's probably a simpler way to do it. Control F10 takes out the overlaps. Select the whole thing and move it up just a hair. My concern here is that the ends here are going to need to be very carefully tailored so that I can match a letter after it and not have weird lumps and lines and stuff. I want it to join smoothly. So I may have to go through and actually edit and deliberately square the ends of shapes here. Mark as cyan, save. I could create my own keyboard shortcuts, and even better, I have a Stream Deck in front of me here. I might be able to do some of that stuff myself, like between auto hotkey and the Stream Deck and all those things. I could probably have it. I wonder if I could. I don't know if there's like a shortcut to hit glyph. If I do like Alt G, it does. Okay. Alt G and then F. Here, let's try that. Pick some really simple one. Y. Oh, Y is already. Well, Y is a Y. Y is a reflection of I. P. I'm going to just see. Maybe I could be doing this already and I just have been unaware. Okay, so we get rid of this. Boom. I said, boom. Thank you. We select all. No. Okay. Alt GF. Control A. Control F10. That's a great thought. I could probably make a button that did that whole process right there on the Stream Deck. I've been using the Stream Deck just to control OBS for doing broadcasts, but I would imagine I could fix a few things like that there and just have some of my Stream Deck devoted to repetitive processes like that, because I really don't need to be doing that continuously. I'm going to drag that like that. Yeah. Okay. I very much grew up as a DOS user using shortcuts, and I've become spoiled. Yes, and I may have to look at that. Like if I go back, oh well, let me save this. and go back into there, I can go and highlight some of these points like this. And those are highlighted, and I can delete, and it will get rid of them. It will not just get rid of the points. And then I can drag that over to there. And that does simplify things. I don't know if I can just select a line like that and say, oh, actually, maybe. What does Genius do? Ooh, try it up here. Genius is not available. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming out. Delete nodes. That simplifies things and actually didn't destroy things too badly. So I may end up doing some of that. So there, and delete node. Controls that because it was actually better with it. I know. If I highlight the whole thing and go to contour, there is simplify, Control Alt B, but it didn't do much. Well, it might be that too. Honestly, I'm not sure, but I think this brush feature was added as of 7. I don't know if it was in version 6 or not. And this is really complex software. So it may be that they added the feature, but they haven't had enough feedback yet on how well it works to know what changes they need to make and things like that. Maybe nobody's using it. I really don't know. Okay. I'm going to do these up here just so that I'm working all the way through. There isn't actually that many glyphs in here, which is one of the reasons why I chose this this as a sort of test software to see what it would do. We'll keep that. We will. No, we will. Alt G F, Control A, Control F10. Boom. Hey, done. Flag and cyan and save. You would think for something so advanced and expensive, it must have some useful feature. The thing is, they're pretty cutting edge too. Yeah, that's the problem. That's why I was testing to see whether or not just picking a line which was a little shaky would actually H. H looks kind of crappy on the bottom there. So if I select that whole line along there, simplify doesn't appear there. Genius does. And God only knows what it did. Element, no. Glyph, no. Contour. Simplify. Didn't seem to do anything except deselect it. Contour. Cleanup. No. See, what I would like would be contour. Straighten. And it may have that. I may not know what it is. If you look at the menu on this thing, just look at how many different things there are that you can do in here and realize that tons of them have submenus and it just goes on and on and on. There's less things that I've figured out. I haven't figured out what they mean at all. But there was stuff in here that I have absolutely no idea what the hell some of the things are. I don't see anything in there. Oh, that's another thing that's curious about this that I haven't figured out. It has layers. No problem. I've used layers in lots of programs. It doesn't have a way to easily visualize where your layers are, which is kind of weird. So what I'm going to do is manually straighten some of this out. A little bit better. Like I said, though, it's an experiment to see what happens. Okay, it's a little better. That's what I thought it would do. And it would just, take out the nodes that seem to have less impact on the direction of the line and then just, shorten it and everything. It doesn't seem to do that. But maybe I'm expecting too much from it too. This, however, is a thing it does that drives me up the wall. This is supposed to be part of that, but it isn't. I have to go to Windows. Where is it here? Docking, merge window. Then it'll put it back up there. There is, however, no way to lock this so that I can't accidentally click and drag it free. And that drives me up the wall. It's my biggest criticism of this program. Okay, now getting this one down pat should be difficult too. Or not. Oh, right. I have to get rid of the previous. Oh, that's not what I said to do. I said, give me the whole shape. Thank you. Delete. And this one. Delete. Now, glyph, flatten layer, select all, Control F10. So that was Alt GF that I should have done there. Windows, panels, layers, and masters. Okay, Windows, panels, layers, and masters. Okay, so there is another window for it. I don't know if it's useful or not either. I will leave it off to one side here. I will try and leave it off to one side here and see what happens when I'm next using a layer on one of these. Now we're going to go in here, grab that, and move it up a little bit. I keep forgetting that you're actually using this software too. Most of the people that come and watch me don't have Font Lab for the very good reason of the price. In some ways, I should be using cheaper software to do this stuff just so that it's more accessible to people that come along later and want to try it. But I bought this stuff basically to spoil myself. and I want to keep using it. Have you built a lot of fonts, Ryan? Like a lot of constructed language fonts for yourself? Okay, we're going to try this again. I'm going to skip ahead on a letter. I want to pick something simple and easy to do. And I'm going to see what happens in that layers thing. It doesn't show me a layer. It just shows 3 elements in the layer. So I had this idea that, oh, the stuff I traced over top is in a different element. I could just select the whole layer and get rid of it instead of having to do this. But apparently not. Now it's 2 elements. And now we Alt GF, Control A, Control F10. And then we fix the mistakes a little bit. Oh, okay. Oh, oh, okay. I thought you had it. Hello, Jacoby. This is FontLab Studio 7. This is, well, for a top gear reference, this is like the Bugatti Veyron of font software. Well, honestly, I am self-taught. I started off, like I said, with type and type from Creative Software there, Create Software. Then moved to FontLab Studio 7. Yes. Yes. Not cheap. Really neat. No. You figure it out. And that's what I'm making videos for, is to help somebody like you go, I want to do that. And then they can, get some software and play with it, decide if they really like it. I would say start building an alphabet using Type Lite, which is free. It only has basic tools, but it's still good. And then go from there to something better. There is lots of software out there for making fonts. It's just I haven't played with most of it, so I don't want to specifically mention it. No, it is not cheap. I had an old version of this called Fontographer, and I hadn't used it much, but I looked that up when I thought I wanted to build a constructed language font, and I could upgrade to FontLab Studio 5. And the upgrade price was still expensive, but it wasn't that bad. It was like $170 or something like that, and I had the money, so I took the plunge and I got 5. And then I ended up upgrading to 7 because I was on a Mac, and Apple decided that it would only support 64-bit programs. And if you had 32-bit programs, well, you didn't really need to use those. And FontLab said that they were upgrading 7, and that it would be 64-bit. So I upgraded from 5 to 7 and also switched to PC as well. Have I tried Bird Font? No, I have not. I have not tried Bird Font. I have not tried Glyphs, although it's kind of cool. Oh God, I had a whole list of them. I have plans to make a video on all the different font software and just show it to people and give them the options of what they might want to use. Because I recognize that saying, hey, you want to do this? Just go buy FontLab 7 isn't a very practical solution to give people. It's a lot of money to plunge in. Yeah, there are free versions. Do I still have that web page here? Just a sec. Yes, I do. This is a link to createsoftware.net. That's actually for Type, which is their fully featured font editor. It costs $40 US. There is a free version that is limited that will not do all the stuff that the paid version will do, but you can start with the free version off their same site. It's called Type Lite. That's where I started. I used Type Lite. I made an alphabet. I realized I like making fonts. I bought the paid version, Type 3.2, and learned about doing stuff with features and built. I think the first version of Ashuadi was built with Type 3.2, in fact. And then I got into the feature stuff very heavily, and that's why I ended up buying FontLab Studio. Yes, it does. Here, I will show you the features. So this is the features file. I don't know how well you can read that. I hope you're not on phone. This is all Liga, the whole thing here. And it starts off with a whole pile of subs to substitute stuff and goes on and on and on and on. And then down here, it's not quite doing the standard initial isolated initial medial final stuff like you would find in Arabic. That's not how my font works. But here, I will go to preview and show you since you didn't see it before. What my writing system does, here's Ashuadi. I got to recompile it, just a sec. Boom. What Ashuadi does is it says if you have an initial vowel, or actually an initial consonant, there's S, S, and if you have a vowel, it attaches that to the consonant, so S-A. And if you have a consonant after that, say N, it attaches that. So it links the components of a syllable together, favoring consonant vowel in particular. If you have actually S-A-N, so that's S-A followed by N. If I type another A, sana, it will say, oh, that's two different syllables. Boom. It will switch it so that it types S with an A attached to it, N with an A attached to it. If I put an L after that, sanal, it will attach an L to the second syllable. But it focuses on joining stuff together in syllables. And therefore, it's not like the standard Arabic initial isolated forms, initial forms, medial forms, and final forms. It's more specific. I started off doing all of that stuff with this and evolved out of it. So what I'm trying to do in this video is to see if the brush function of my font software will let me produce something that looks like the handwritten version. And honestly, I would say the results are kind of meh at the moment. Back to the main screen here. But it is slowly doing something here. I got to remember to save it every instance because it was doing some weird backtracking stuff. So the idea is that I still, if you know about all that stuff, then I will show you the classes over here. So I have, this isn't showing you the entire class screen, unfortunately. Let's see if I can adjust that. Just a sec here. Display capture 3, edit, and drop this down. Oh man, even more. Just a sec. I will shrink that slightly, even though it makes it harder to read, because then I can include more of the screen. So there, we'll lock that. Okay, so what you have here is a class named all CV syllables. And then this is a list of them. I don't know why it draws this monstrosity of them all overlapped here, but basically it's this text down here that lists all of the glyphs that I have made up as syllables, and includes them in a class. And then this is all VC syllables, so all syllables starting with a vowel. This is all medial syllables. This is all consonants, and this is all medial consonants. So it's medial forms of the consonants. So what that does is, no, not preview, features. That lets me go in here to the features file and scroll way down, grab the thing, pull it down, and say, have rules in here that say sub at, they use the at sign for classes, all CV syllables that are followed by a W finaglyph or a Y finaglyph get replaced by the equivalent medial syllable. That's one little rule there that just deals with a final W or a final Y. And I'll see if I can show off why I'd want to do that, because I don't honestly remember why I wrote that rule. S-A-Y. Right. Okay. What happens is my language originally had A, I, and U, which I haven't redrawn yet. Here, I'll go back to old Ashuadi. Still looks wrong there. Then in, how do I want to put this? I'm building a 3-consonant, like triliteral consonant Semitic style language. That's the idea. Don't speak any of them. Don't quite know how they work, and I'm having a hard time doing it. But that's what I'm working on. I picked a nice hard one to work on. During the course of my language's evolution, it added E and O. So I now have A, E, I, O, U. No problem. That's a thing in the background that I know happened. The writing system is older than that evolution. So when you write E, in this particular version, Old Ashuadi, it's the same. And when you write O, it's the same as the U. If I load up a later version of the language, open font, back 2.4, I think it is. Oh, 2.6. Oh, I haven't switched screens there, but this is a later evolution of it. What happens with the E and the O is that they are written as if they were an A followed by an I or a Y, or an A followed by a U. So I have the old version of it and the newer version of it. Okay. H, what? Yeah, exactly. Right. And that's a thing I intended on doing. If you speak Hebrew, you are so lucky. I'm trying to figure out how your style of language works, and it ain't easy as an English speaker, I'll tell you. It really ain't easy. Yeah, I have the same idea. So we're still on preview there. If you take a look, my A is, fingers in the wrong spot. My A is an A. My I is an I. My Y is an I. My U is my U. And a W is the same, right? So you could do like I think Hebrew used to do, and use a Y in place of the vowel I and a W in the place of the vowel U. Uh, even though what I'm writing here is actually an alphabet. Um, it's written kind of like Arabic because it was inspired by the shapes of Kufic Arabic originally, but it's not the same, and it's not, well, it's written left to right first off, not right to left. Um, but I tried to evolve it away from looking too much like that. I borrowed some shapes from Syriac and stuff like that. You're American but Jewish, so you know some Hebrew. It's easy enough. No, it is not. It is not an easy. It's not. Okay. Hebrew might be an easy language to learn. I don't know. Arabic is not an easy language to learn. I tried and everything. But bending my brain around how the actual structure of Semitic style languages works is what's hard. Everything is basically a verb or derived from a verb. And when you go and try and build one of those and you don't speak it, it's very quickly headache inducing. Oh, so here I am talking about how to make a Semitic language and making a writing system for a Semitic style language and conlang and making a writing system for it. And the people in my audience speak Arabic and Hebrew and know far more about it than I do. That's awesome, actually. It really is. Mumtaz. What is Mumtaz? I'm sure you'll tell me. So there's two things happening here. One, I'm trying to build that language, a conlang. And second, I'm building the writing system. And what happened is I started on the conlang, realized I wanted the writing system, built the writing system, got distracted by that, and haven't really gone back to the conlang enough. But that is the end goal. And the other thing, I don't know if I have that on here or not. I don't think I do. Do we? I have so many pictures. Nope. Nope, that's all out of date. Does the close-up camera have my bookshelf? It does. Not. Nope, not that. That's Zanatti. Huh. Okay. I don't have the thing I thought I had set up here. Excellent in Arabic. Okay. Well, I have this world in my head. Years ago, I hand drew a map of it. And the point of it was to build a world for a role-playing game. D&D at the time. And I wanted to build my own world, and I wanted to build the cultures that went in it and the languages that went in it. And I realized that I would have to start with the languages. And I've gotten sidetracked by that, but I want to build, I think it's 4 or 5 languages roughly. Okay. Yep. Yeah, I speak a very tiny amount of Russian, a very tiny amount of German, and a tiny, very tiny amount of French, although I recognize more than I think I know, just from being in Canada. But I speak like 1 or 2 words in dozens of other languages. Now, how do I manage the lexicon? Let me look for the program here. This masters layers of master screen that you pointed out there, yeah, actually doesn't do anything for me. I have a program that I was using. It's a little out of date, and I can't remember what it's called. It might be this one. Let me take a look and see what shows up. Okay. SIL Fieldworks Language Explorer. So I have been using this. It's overkill, absolutely overkill. But this is from SIL, and they offer an awful lot of support for linguistics field workers and stuff like that. So this also supports using your own Conlang font. You can load fonts into it. Thank you. So this is the thing that I've been using. And what I basically did was go through everything I had written about this and load up the languages, load up the glosses for it. I'm not entirely comfortable with the way it does it because the Lexeme form for it is not the romanization, and I want the romanization there. But that's what I have at the moment. I'm still looking for other programs too. There was a couple of ones that were posted by people in our conlangs on Reddit, and it they were great, but they wouldn't let me use my own fonts. So I'm still exploring this one, but this is intended for professional linguists out there in the field gathering, some undocumented language and building up all this stuff here so that you can build a real understanding of the language. Now, I will say this thing is very thorough. I'm not using it here, but you can go through and attach pictures and cross-index stuff. And when it's done, you can output a dictionary. And that's why I got this, really, was that it doesn't cost anything. So I figured I would go and do all that stuff there and detail everything in here. And I'm still in that process. But I haven't been building my conlang here. I've been documenting it after working on it in just an open office document. But take a look for Fieldworks Language Explorer from SIL if you want to play with that. You're here, so we like overkill. Yes. I do not know. I would be surprised if it couldn't, but I really don't know. I suppose I could load it up again and see if it shows anything for that. Just a second. Okay, I will open that up and just see if there's any entries for it. I'm really barely scratching the surface of this. So I don't know this software. Let's see what it says. Import. That doesn't help any. Standard format lexicon, lingua, links data, lift lexicon, translated list content, translated grammatical category content, export just exports. Send receive. I don't know what FlexBridge is, so that's fine. Data. You. Nope, I don't think it can, but I could be wrong. I do have a Discord server. Yes. Just a second here. Let me close that and go find my Discord address. Well, actually, I'll open up Discord. That'll give me a link, won't it? I also stream a game called Dark Age of Camelot, so there's an awful lot of content to do with DOC on there too. Go away. I hate all these little promos that pop up over top of stuff that I don't care about. It's not why I'm here. Conlanging. Now, where do I go to get a link? There is a spot here where I can get a link, right? Invite people. Okay, I don't know if this will work. I'm going to click on the right spot. But see if that'll guide you to the right spot. I think in order to actually have it listed as that font guy, I need to have way many more people, but I am listed as that font guy on Discord there. And hopefully that'll guide you to the right spot. While I'm at it, there is a page here somewhere. Come on. Maybe there isn't a page anymore. Okay, we're going to close that. Wow. I have stuff set up for Twitch and I have stuff set up for YouTube, and the YouTube stuff is sorely lacking. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, although I have yet to do a single TikTok. I haven't figured out what I could possibly do there. Any of those as That Font Guy. I am That Font Guy on Patreon. I am probably going to have, well, I had a different domain name for a website, but I wasn't maintaining it anyway. I'm probably going to update that, and I will relay that when I've done it, but I have to get a new domain name for it. And if you want to support me, you can go to Patreon, and I am That Font Guy on Patreon. And you can download a lot of the fonts that I produced off of Patreon that way. And if you want to support me, it's $1. And I have a screen for that. I just don't have one with all the other stuff on it there. Nope, not that one. Wrong one. Stop that. Go away. It is this page here. Those are the people supporting me on Patreon at the moment. If any of them see me doing this, thank you very, very much. I really appreciate it. Now, okay, I missed something. A good book written in the 1800s called A Simplified Grammar of Arabic, Persian, and Hindustani. Okay, that would be very interesting. I'm also kind of interested in Farsi. So, oh, while I'm at it, I was talking about a map and I was looking for the map graphic and I can't find it. But here, for your further edification, is the hand-drawn map that I did many years ago of the world that I want to build. Hopefully that came out on screen okay. Here, I'll go on to close-up there. So, oh, that is not displaying well at all, is it? No, that isn't. Okay, anyway, hand-drawn map. Wanted to build it as a map and worked on that. And I'll see if I can find the graphic. Just a sec here. Image. Sure. I don't think I have that saved already. So should be. I'll see which one is most recent. Possibly that one. Nope, that's not the most recent. I changed it to cancel. Changed it to electronic and built it in an online editor called Photopea. And I don't know where the hell I've saved it. You do not want to look through my computer. There is so much crap everywhere. No. No. Nope. Not either of those. Where the hell did I put the thing? Here. God, I'm trying to find anything in my pictures folder that includes all my photos. So there. Copy. Man. Add. I should have had this built already. Didn't. Image 8. Oh, and you can't paste. What is the point of that? Okay, so E drive. Twitch resources. Yeah, there. Okay. Hopefully that shows up okay. So you can't see me now, but that there is the map of the area I want to document, and it has lettering in English with Ashuadi underneath it. And it doesn't really matter if I do that, but I thought that kind of solidifies the whole thing in my brain. So, yeah, it's all world building. Well, this is the thing. I don't have room to hold it in the distance. The area that I'm in here is so small. It's ridiculous. I don't know if I have that there. I don't know, maybe 6 feet deep. So I can't back up too far. That's one of the reasons why I figure people might be interested in pre-made writing systems is they're doing world building. They may not want to build a whole conlang, but they do want to add something to maps that they make and things like that. That I figure that's going to draw some people. Some people are very drawn to conlangs, of course, and they want to get into the nitty gritty of everything. And other people presumably get lost in font making like me. And it's sort of a whole big ball of people. But yeah, world building is part of it. I wanted to write a role playing game, and I have about 120 pages of a manual for it. But writing a role playing game that works is really hard, and the first version didn't work. I play tested it, and it just wasn't right. So I'm still. I may go back to that. I don't know. We'll see. In the meantime, I have this world. I want to document it. I want to build the languages for it. So the languages are going to be Ashwadi, which I'm working on here, a trade language called Tajiradi, which should only be a couple of hundred words, but it'll have its own writing system as well. And it's sort of a trade language used around this whole area, which is thousands of square miles. and then a language from the south that I don't know anything about, a language from the west that I haven't done anything with and don't know anything about either, a couple of different dialects of Ashuadi, the other languages in its branch, which are spoken in the far north. I'm probably just going to define how those differ in contrast and stuff like that. And another one. Have you heard of the RPG called Dialect? No, I have not. I have not. I was heavily into RPGs. I haven't actually played one in a few years. But Dialect, no. I'll take a look at that. That's very interesting. I presume you've been playing it or you play it? I also originally thought I wanted to try writing stories in this world, but I actually can't write fiction. I'm hopeless. I stopped that idea. So we'll see how that goes if I ever try it again. But okay, lining this up. Realize if I don't keep doing this while I'm talking, that's hopeless. I am never going to get it done. But I also need to keep an eye on how long this video is, because I have discovered that if they go on too long, people just don't watch them. You actually create a language as a game. Oh, man. While we're comparing things then, have you ever heard of a very old role-playing game called, oh, no, I can't remember. Empire of the Petal Throne? Control GF? No, Control. That was not it. What was it? Oh, Alt GF. Control A, Control F10. Boom. And we'll straighten that out later. Empire of the Petal Throne came out at about the same time as Dungeons and Dragons, probably a little after it. I don't think that they simultaneously came up with the same idea. It was written by a professor of linguistics down in the States called M.A. Barker, I think. M.A. Barker. And it's a really weird world he built. Really strange, kind of neat. He wrote some novels set in it too. But the thing is, being a professor of linguistics, he had to build the whole language. So he had the Solianu language of Tecumel pretty much defined, and he had a group of his students who would play the game with him using his rules in Solianu, which is friggin' cool. The game itself got reissued as Swords of Glory. I don't know if it's any good. When I was at university, we had a guy who was willing to GM it, and he was really, really good. He would have been good doing any game, I'm sure. And he would run multiple groups of people in the same timeline. So your group might go somewhere and discover that somebody had been there before them and done the thing that they were trying to do. And then you figure, okay, that's just another NPCs, fine. That's part of the story. We'll go track them down. And then suddenly you would show up to play one day and there would be two groups there because the two groups of you who had been playing separately had met. And that was really cool. However, we did not play in Solianu. But yeah, take a look for M.A.R. Barker, Swords of Glory, or Empire of the Petal Throne. The only novel of his I've read was, I think, called The Man of Gold. It's a really weird world that he defined. Unlike anything else, there's a lot of strange creatures. The society is very odd. The main people, Solianu, are humans, but everything else is weird. And it's a really cool world and mythos and everything else like that. I don't think very many people play it at the moment. but I haven't looked up Swords of Glory recently. Maybe it's still good. I don't know. Flag, cyan, save. Oh, this Rick that we had was a great GM. Yeah, he was brilliant. Really good storyteller. Lots of really good conflicts. Lots of surprises and twists. And he was GMing 3 or 4 different groups at the university at the same time. So, we would play, I think we played Thursday evenings or something like that, but there was another group on Tuesdays and another group on Wednesday in the afternoon because they all had the same time slot off and didn't have classes. And yeah, it was really wild. Really, really well done. I will never forget the man. I can't remember it for the life of me what he looked like, but as a GM, he was fantastic. No, that looked wrong. Now, it does beg the question whether or not I shouldn't have made a bigger brush, but I made the brush about the same size as the width of the strokes. So I don't know. Boom. Okay. Control GF. No. Alt GF. Control F10. That takes out the overlap. Then we go back to here. Flag that. Save again. Before some of you got here, I was losing the changes that I made, and I still have no idea why that happened. Okay, we have O and S to do. Thankfully, I picked the really simplified version of this thing deliberately. No. Okay. Gone. Alt GF. I learned from my mistakes. Control F10. That looks terrible, but it's a test. So if I have to fix stuff later, I can. See what that looks like in preview, though. Maybe it's really awful. No, wrong key. There. S versus C. Well, actually, not much better or worse. I do want the handwritten look when I'm done. So, highlight that. Flag, cyan. Save. And really only have this one left to do, and that, for some other reason, is not flattened. Okay. Brush. Right. Yeah, actually, that is kind of surprising. That's atrocious. No. Actually, with this software, I'm surprised there isn't a convert to brush stroke, to be honest. If there is, I haven't come across it. Gone. Gone. Alt GF. Take off the overlap. Straighten all that down just a little bit. That up just a little bit. Yeah. And save. So that is done. And that is done. Flag. Cyan. And save. Now, you'll notice there's an awful lot of missing letters in here. That's because, along with all the world building stuff that I had come to mind, I have this other fixed element of the language that I want to design, which is that it has a lot of allophones. So, Ashuadi doesn't distinguish for voice or for fricatives or affricates, but it does have voiced and fricatives and affricates as allophones. So the idea here is that this version of the writing system is really old, and I'm producing a handwritten version of that. But it doesn't mark for those things for the allophones, whereas the later version does, because the idea is it's used as a text for religious teachings, and therefore they mark voice and affricates and everything else like that, because they have people who don't speak the language natively learning how to recite religious texts, so they want them to get it right. So it's got added stuff in there. And the same sort of thing happened with Hebrew and Arabic, I think, with the addition of vowels and things like that. It wasn't just to make it easier to read, it was also so that somebody who was taking courses in their religion, in their language, could learn to pronounce stuff correctly and have all the extra tools it required. I could be wrong, but I think that's what happened there. Apparently, element make power brush does something similar. Sure. Element make power brush. Oh. Control Z. Let us go back to, say, C, which was problematic to begin with. Control Z it if I can. Can I? No, I can't. I will wipe out C. I will go to take out all of these excess definitions I didn't need. Go to Ashuadi, old Ashuadi, C, Control A, Control Copy, come back to Handwritten, go to C, Control V, and then Element make Power Brush. Oh, no. Oh, I'm sorry, yes. No. No, not quite. That's drawn the lines as the shapes. So that won't do. Control Z. But if I take brush and draw over top again, go like that, and then go back here and select that and that. No, can't do them both. Okay, get rid of this. Boom. Alt FG. No. Alt GF. Control F10. Control or Alt. No, Control A. And then try Element Make Power Brush. What does it do? It does the same thing. No. No, that's taking the lines of the shape and turning it into something not desirable. So I should still have that saved in my thing here. If I go pick, say, capital W and just paste, there's that shape. Is there a way I can get the center line of that somehow? Element. The hell's a sticker? Bizarre. Okay. Optically separate. No. Yes, I could. Well, see, I have the existing shapes. If I was to come in here and do some deleting, and then say element, make power brush, that would be capital W. So if I go to preview and I hit capital W, what do I get? Oh, my font's going to get in the way of that and say, nope, that's a W, lowercase. So that doesn't work. I don't think that works because of the way it's spaced. So back here, Control Z, add all that back in. Take out the internals. See what it does. That won't work. No, that won't work either. Okay. We'll take out the externals again. Element, make power brush. But where do I set the power brush line width? Those are font settings. panel. Brush. Ah, okay. Oh, it's not showing up for me because this program, absolutely everything can be a window and absolutely everything can be dragged and combined and everything. The only thing you can't do is get rid of the sketchboard over here, which I never use. But I have the brush here. I'll just leave it off to the side here and I can adjust. Oh, it's switched from here. There. I can adjust the size of the lines using that. But the question is, does that look handwritten when it's done? So since I can't display it on screen because I've got stuff in, oh, I could rem that out. Just a sec. I can go to features and rem out the no caps rule. Like that. And recompile it. And then when I go to preview, that's what this looks like. And I can adjust this to make it thicker or thinner. Which is cool and all, but I don't think it actually ends up looking like I wanted it to look when it's done, because it's not showing the angle of things and things like that. It might, yeah. It's definitely a different style, so that's interesting. I don't know how I get all the shapes to look consistent that way, because what you're having to do is define a center line and then do it. But so this would actually have to all be moved as well. Like, because it's traced off the top shape, that there would actually need to be. Why are you not moving, sir? Because I'm not doing things right. Oh, glyph, flatten layer. Now it's a shape and now it can be moved. How would that actually look? Oh, this also doesn't have a right margin. That's another thing this program does, is it can wipe out some of the margining and things like that, and I haven't figured out how to put it back. Nope, no idea what happened there. So that's interesting because of the way it drew it. But it's not quite right yet either. But yeah, maybe there's a better way to do this. Okay, we're going to ignore a W there. We've done it and it's there, but I don't actually need it. And rid of that. Go back here. Go to Old Ashuadi. Grab A. Come to Handwritten. Go to A. Take out the thing I did with the brush. Put in A. Then try Element, make Power Brush. Now, that's interesting, but it's put a dot in the center. So I would need to get rid of, we will control Z that. We will get rid of the center and then try and make power brush. Okay. Yes. Yes. So I'm just going to look at this on preview and see what it looks like there, which of course has nothing on it right now. So that is A. And that does look like it was written with a pen, sort of, although it's very clean. Let's try a complex shape. Of course, I've gone and replaced all of these now, so I got to go back and get the originals. Control A, Control Copy. We come back to Handwritten, go to C, wipe out that, put in this one, and then draw a new line that runs from here. No. Control Z. That's not going to work. I have to start below it to trace the shape. Down to, what are you doing? Control Z. Gone. Control V. So maybe the answer is not to do that, but to edit the existing thing. And then delete. If I was to drag that over to middle here, this over to middle here, doing really weird ass things to everything else. And that down to middle there. Zoom in a bit. I can adjust. How's my mouse gone? Have a mouse, please. Thank you. That. Go down a hair so that this can snap onto a point. To a point. That looks terrible. Oh, it's also gone and switched the form of this, which is annoying. I can't remember what the version I prefer is called. But this ain't it. This is the Microsoft way of designing a line rather than the Adobe method of doing it. That should actually be at the halfway part there. Yeah, that's not worth it either. No. Delete, Control V. Really what I want is a line down the center of this arc. But the only way to do that is to get rid of the stuff that's in the way, too. And then draw a new line. Be handy if they had a sort of center line function, which would just do the tracing for you. Luckily, I don't have too many glyphs. Okay, then we want another line from here down to here. Then to here, to there, then to curve. Should be about there, to curve. That would give me that curve there. And don't know if I can just control click to select add. No, I can't. Okay, well, I know I'm not going to need that. That can go. But I am going to need to join one over here. So I'm going to need all of this. Control copy, Control V, move it over. This is going to get complex quick. Roll sideways. Shrink that way down to say there. Get rid of this here. Copy this. Detach it like that. Now I'm going to move it down a lot first. There, I think. And extend those up like that. Rid of that. That whole line there. And that one. Then, I don't know if that'll do it or not. Then select everything and go to Element, make Power Brush. And that is C. So I just realized I did all of that with you on the wrong screen. Okay, so that actually is coming out better than my other version. So that might actually work. It's just time consuming to do that, but that is drawing that out that way and being consistent. And I have the same width on my brush there. I mean, it's arbitrarily picked, but it looked good, so I kept it. It just means that I need to go through each of these and define the center line of the shape, which is time consuming to get right. But once I've got that, then generate the power brush. That's a great thing to have suggested. Thank you very much. The end result actually isn't quite handwritten, but looks a lot closer to handwritten, like really good calligraphy from a polished scribe, perhaps. And I'll have to figure out how I join stuff together to do that, but that gives me a direction. So that's good. That's really good. That said, it's going to be an awful lot of work to get that done, and I want to get to the next stage before I go any further with it. So at 2.5 hours, I think I'm going to call this stream done for today. So awesome to have your help, everybody, but in Ryan in particular here. Thank you very, very much. Thank you to whoever hit the button on the Patreon there. I will flash that again because this will go to a VOD and people might see it when they didn't see it earlier. So not that one. Why do I'm going to get rid of that. This is the one I want. There's some people currently supporting me on Patreon, plus one more that I got during this stream. Thank you, folks. So why is that overlay staying? And get rid of that. Boom. The wrong one anyway. Yes, gone. I have a direction now. I think the results are going to look good. The thing with this is I can now take this same principle and apply it to Zenati too, and produce a sort of handwritten version of Zenati. So it's going to take some tweaking to get all this stuff right and to get it to line up right. Like if you look at the preview screen here, does my mouse cursor show on there? It does. You can see the bottom part of this curve right here is not the same height as this O here, the A, O shape. So I need to adjust stuff height-wise and things like that. But that gives me a much better direction, and it's time-consuming to draw the lines in the center of each shape, but it is going to be consistent in a way that the brush is not, and that is a big thing. And this has a sort of handwritten, written with a pen look, sort of. I think a page of my modern Ashuadi printed on a background that looked like old parchment or something like that would look out of place. This would look a little bit more consistent with that. Does Ashuadi have a way to say thanks? It does not. It does not at the moment. I don't have a word for it. Brief history of it. I came up with the design and wrote a design document and worked on that for a while on my Mac. Then I had a complete hard drive crash and could not find a backup of it. So I started it again, gathering together what notes I could find. And now I realize that I've gone off in a direction that I really don't understand. So I'm probably going to start working on it again. I can keep a lot of the stuff that I've done, but no, I find tri-consonant languages just really hard to bend my brain around. I keep wanting to make something else, like an agglutinative language, like Turkish or something like that. And I mean, that's not the idea. I love the amazing cleverness of the Semitic languages like that, though. Okay, sure. Yeah. Go to the Discord or post it on Reddit. Yeah, absolutely. I'm always working on this stuff when I'm not doing other stuff. So I'd appreciate any suggestions you've got. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks very much. And thank you to everybody. And if you're watching this video when it's become a VOD on YouTube later on, thanks for watching. Thanks for dropping by. Hope you found it interesting. Hope you find it useful. And I'm going to keep turning out stuff related to font creation and conlangs and conscripts, neography, whatever you want to call it. And it's all good. Have a great day, guys. I'm going to stop now because I could just keep saying more and more things. Yep, sure. I want to build up the Discord. I got to find my mouse. I got too many monitors, not enough controls here. I want to build up the Discord for stuff other than the gaming that I stream on Twitch. I do conlanging and fonts and stuff on YouTube, and I do gaming on Twitch. And of course, you're welcome to drop by there too. But right now, what little there is on my Discord is mostly focused on other stuff. So all the people that want to get together and post stuff on Discord, yeah, sure. I try and remember to check Discord. I don't particularly like Discord, but it's a great tool, so I'm trying to get used to it. Anyway,